Have you ever felt a night so heavy that even turning on the light felt wrong? Not just darkness around you, but inside you. A night when silence screams and the shadows seem alive. That's where it began for a man named Daniel. A believer, a churchgoer, the kind of Christian everyone thought was strong in faith. But lately, Daniel had been feeling something shift. The world felt colder, the air heavier, his prayers weaker. And one night, it came. The power went out. Outside, the wind howled like it carried voices. Daniel reached for the lamp beside his bed, but something inside whispered, "Don't light it." He froze. The whisper didn't sound like fear. It sounded like warning. Have you ever ignored a warning your spirit tried to give you? Because what Daniel didn't know was that not every darkness needs to be fought with light. Some must be endured with faith. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If you've ever felt a night like that, where you couldn't explain the heaviness but you knew it was spiritual, hit the like button and subscribe, because this message might be exactly what God wants you to hear tonight. Back to Daniel. He sat still in that darkness, his breath slow, heart pounding. He remembered something he once read from C.S. Lewis. The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings. Maybe this was that gentle slope, the moment he would quietly drift away from faith, not by rebellion, but by distraction, by fear, by forgetting who his light truly was. The wind outside grew louder, rattling the windows. Daniel's first instinct was to grab his phone for light, but the battery was dead. He was forced to face the dark. And then something strange happened. The longer he sat in the dark, the clearer his thoughts became. He began to remember the words of Jesus in Matthew 6:22-23. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. He realized, maybe this darkness wasn't around him. Maybe it was in him. He'd been busy lately, scrolling endlessly, talking rarely. His prayers had become habits, not conversations. He spoke of faith, but feared tomorrow. He sang of peace, but lived in anxiety. This wasn't an attack from outside. This was a slow dimming of the inner lamp. And that's when it hit him. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us." Daniel had been chasing light sources that could never outshine the true light. He thought lighting the lamp would save him from the dark, but God was showing him something deeper. You can have all the lamps in the world and still live in darkness if your heart has forgotten the light of Christ. So, let me ask you, have you been trying to light lamps that God is asking you to leave unlit? Maybe the lamp of control, where you can't surrender. Maybe the lamp of pride, where you hide your pain behind "I'm fine." Maybe it's the lamp of distraction, where you numb your emptiness with screens, scrolling, and noise. The demonic night isn't always a night of horror. It's the quiet hour when your faith flickers and your soul feels empty. When the devil doesn't roar, but whispers, "It's okay, you're tired, just stop praying tonight." That's how it begins. But friend, listen closely. God allows some nights not to destroy you, but to reset you. The same way Jesus faced darkness in Gethsemane, alone, trembling, sweating blood. He didn't run from the night, he knelt in it. And that's the difference. When darkness came, he didn't light a lamp, he became one. If you're in a dark night right now, don't rush to switch on a fake light. Sit with God. Ask him what he's showing you through this stillness. Because sometimes the absence of light is where God reveals what's really been burning in your heart. Write this in the comments if you're with me tonight. Lord, even in darkness. I will trust you. Before we move forward, think about this. What if the night you're fearing is the very place God plans to rebuild your faith? What if that whisper, "Don't light the lamp," is not warning you of demons, but inviting you to see His power without distractions? Stay with me, because what Daniel experienced next changed his life forever. He thought the danger was outside his window, but the real battle was happening in the quiet corners of his own soul. And in that battle, the enemy didn't use thunder or terror. He used something far subtler, something we all face every day. Daniel sat still, the house silent except for the sound of the wind outside, but the real storm was inside him. He could feel something creeping into his thoughts, small doubts, quiet lies disguised as truth. A whisper that said, "If God really loved you, would He leave you in this darkness?" It wasn't loud, it wasn't monstrous, it was comfortable. That's how the enemy works, not with fear that makes you run, but comfort that makes you stay. The demonic night isn't about monsters and shadows, it's about spiritual sleep. The kind that makes you stop fighting, stop praying, stop hoping. It tells you, rest, you've done enough. But its rest leads to decay. And Daniel almost gave in. He almost lit the lamp, not to see the truth, but to avoid it. Isn't that what we do sometimes? We light up distractions, scrolling, noise, meaningless busyness, just to escape our own souls. We flood the silence so we don't have to hear what the Spirit is saying. But sometimes silence is God's language, and Daniel was about to learn that. He leaned back, staring into the dark, when he suddenly remembered a verse he hadn't thought of in years. Ephesians 6:12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." That's when realization struck. This night wasn't physical, it was spiritual. The real darkness wasn't outside his walls. It was the unseen realm testing his spirit. And if you've ever felt that heaviness for no reason, like a fog you can't name, maybe you've been in the same battle too. It's not depression. It's not coincidence. It's war. A war for your focus, your faith, your fire. C.S. Lewis once wrote in the Screwtape Letters, "The safest way to remove a soul from God's presence is not through sin, but through distraction." The enemy doesn't always roar, he entertains. He doesn't always strike, he soothes. He whispers, "You're fine, you're strong, you don't need to pray tonight." And before you know it, the lamp inside you fades, not because it was blown out, but because it was never fed. Daniel's heart began to race. He could feel something tightening his chest, not fear, but conviction. He realized he hadn't opened his Bible in weeks. He hadn't truly spoken to God, only sent quick messages. "Lord, help me today. God, I'm tired." He was living on spiritual crumbs. And that night, he could taste the hunger. He knelt down in the dark. No light, no phone, no background music. Just him and silence. And then he spoke. Not perfectly, not powerfully, but honestly. "God, I don't even know what's happening, but I can feel something pulling me away from you. Please, don't let me drift." That prayer shook the night. Because real power doesn't come from rehearsed words, it comes from surrender. And in that surrender, something began to shift. The wind outside slowed. The room grew still. And for the first time in weeks, Daniel felt peace. Not relief, but peace that came from presence. A quiet assurance. You're not alone in the dark. Maybe that's what God wants you to hear right now. Maybe your night isn't punishment, it's preparation. Jesus himself faced a night like that, the night before the cross. The disciples were asleep, the sky was black, and the weight of the world pressed on his soul. But he didn't run. He prayed through the night. He didn't light a lamp. He became the light that darkness couldn't overcome. That's what you're called to be too. Not to escape the night, but to carry his light through it. C.S. Lewis said, "When the whole world is running towards the cliff, the one who walks in the opposite direction looks like he's the one who's lost." Maybe your obedience, your stillness, your silence looks strange to others. But sometimes faith means not lighting the lamp everyone expects you to. Sometimes it means standing in the dark with trust that God still sees you. Daniel didn't know how long he sat there. Minutes felt like hours. But when he finally opened his eyes again, a soft morning light had begun to creep through the window. The night hadn't lasted forever. It never does. And maybe that's what God wants to remind you. No night is eternal. Even the darkest ones bow to the sunrise of His mercy. But here's the question that will test your heart. When the night passes, will you remember what the darkness taught you? Or will you rush back to the comfort of artificial light, forgetting the intimacy that only silence gave you? Write this in the comments if you feel this truth tonight. I won't rush the night God is using to rebuild me. If you're still with me, pause, because what Daniel found next wasn't just relief, it was revelation. He learned that some lamps we light aren't from God at all. They burn bright for a moment, but leave ashes behind. And when dawn finally broke, Daniel would face one final test, the choice between light that fades and light that never does. When the sun finally rose, Daniel felt something unusual. It wasn't joy and it wasn't fear. It was clarity, the kind that only comes after walking through darkness without running from it. He got up from the floor, knees sore, eyes heavy, but heart alive. Everything in his house looked the same walls, same silence, same lamp still unlit on the nightstand. But he wasn't the same anymore. Because during that dark night, Daniel hadn't just survived. He'd seen what few ever do. That darkness isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's the classroom where God teaches the hardest truths. And that's when the real test came. His phone buzzed. Dozens of messages, distractions, updates. The light of the screen felt blinding now. It was like the world was begging him to forget what the night had taught him. He remembered C.S. Lewis's words. Human history is the long, terrible story of man trying to find something other than God which will make him happy. And Daniel whispered, "Not this time." He didn't rush to turn on the lamp. He walked over to the window instead. The light outside wasn't harsh. It was gentle, golden, real. That's when he finally understood. The night had been a mirror, showing him everything false that had been lighting his soul. Approval, distraction, achievement, even religious performance, doing things for God instead of walking with God. And in that darkness, those false lights couldn't survive. You see, the demonic night isn't sent to destroy your faith. It's allowed to expose your false fires. Because as long as you keep lighting your own lamps, you'll never learn to depend on His. It reminded Daniel of the story in Exodus 10 when God sent darkness over Egypt. For 3 days, no one could move. But verse 23 says something powerful. Yet all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. Darkness may cover the world, but not the faithful. Those who dwell in the presence of God will always carry light within, not just around. And maybe that's what this message is for you. Maybe God is whispering, stop trying to fix the night, just walk with me through it. Because sometimes the light you're praying for doesn't come from a lamp. It comes from endurance. Daniel spent that morning in quiet prayer, not asking why, but thanking God for the night. He realized something breathtaking. If God's presence can be felt in silence, then silence isn't empty, it's sacred. If He be near in darkness, then darkness isn't absence, it's invitation. So ask yourself, what false light have you been depending on? Is it success that you call blessing? Is it comfort that you've mistaken for peace? Is it noise that you use to silence conviction? God sometimes lets the night fall so you'll finally notice the difference between your light and His. That's what Jesus was teaching when He said in John 8:12, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Notice, He didn't say you won't face darkness. He said you won't walk in it, meaning you may go through nights, but the night won't own you. Daniel finally smiled, not because the darkness was over, but because he had learned to see through it. And that's what God wants for you too. Not a life free from night, but a heart that shines even when it comes. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "You never know how much you really believe anything until its truth or falsehood becomes a matter of life and death to you. And maybe your dark season isn't punishment, it's proof. Proof that your faith isn't built on comfort, but on conviction. Because the greatest light you'll ever carry doesn't come from what you turn on. It comes from what you trust in. And sometimes God will take away every artificial light until all you have left is His voice. That's when you'll see how bright His presence really is. So, if you're in your own demonic night right now, don't rush to escape it. Don't light the lamp just to feel better. Ask, "Lord, what are you showing me in this stillness?" And remember, Jesus walked through the darkest night in history. The world thought the light had gone out when He died on the cross. But 3 days later, dawn broke. And that dawn has never dimmed since. Your darkness may be deep, but it's not final. Your silence may be heavy, but it's not hopeless. Every night, no matter how demonic, must eventually bow to the morning, because the light of the world still reigns. If this message touched you, if you felt God whisper through your own night, write this in the comments. My darkness is not the end. It's where His light begins. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on the bell, because messages like this are for those who refuse to let the night win. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are being refined. The night may be coming, but so is the dawn. And when it breaks, you'll see God was with you the whole time.